Miss Jennifer here today, and we are going to do a shaving cream marbling project today. So the supplies that we're going to need are shaving cream, and this is dollar store brand. We also have some Barbasol. It really doesn't matter what brand you use. And then we're going to use food coloring, and I'll probably use both. You can use liquid watercolors, or you could use acrylic paints or tempera paints or poster paints. Whatever liquid flowing paint that you have, you can use for this. With my liquid watercolors, I'm going to use pipettes. You could also use, if you have any medicine droppers that you cleaned out and saved, you could use those, or eyedroppers, you can use those. And we're going to use a stir stick. And this one is a wooden barbecue skewer, and this one is a chopstick. And I have a squeegee to scrape the foam off at the end. So those are our materials. I also have 3 different kinds of paper. I have watercolor paper, then I have like a regular piece of drawing paper, which is also sometimes called white sulfite paper. This is very similar in thickness to copy paper, so you can use copy paper if that's what you have at home. And this is like a slightly thicker, softer artist's paper. Any paper that you have at home is fine, but I like to have a variety so that you can see what it would look like on different types of papers. And shaving cream marbling is great to use the finished products to make cards out of, or you could cut out egg shapes and make an Easter egg garland, or hearts or stars to make a garland of your choice. You could make little flag banner shapes to do a banner garland for a birthday. Really, there are so many uses for this beautiful marbled paper. So our first step is going to be, and I'm also using a fast food lunch tray to spray onto, and you can see I have my table protected with some plastic railroad board, but you can protect your table with a cut open trash bag or newspapers, really whatever you have around the house you can use. And you can even spray the shaving cream directly on the table, and then the shaving cream itself acts as the cleaner to clean the table. But I like to keep things kind of contained, so that's why I'm doing it on the tray. So we're going to spray a good coverage. And my shaving cream is looking a little watery, but let's see if I shake it up if I'll get a better consistency. It would appear not. So fingers crossed for our next batch. Oh yeah, that looks good. So we're going all around. It doesn't have to be super thick, but we do want some good coverage. That looks great. I'm going to use my squeegee to smooth the top out. And you can see where that thin watery bit was. It's kind of making it wiggle around. So we're just going to bring it back over. And get a nice even surface. Yeah, that watery area is going to be my nemesis for today. So let's see, I might have to add a little more. Let's see if I can get it smoothed over it. I think I am going to add a little more. Maybe I can scrape this bit and use that in that area. And I'm probably being more of a perfectionist than you need to be, but I am not happy with that little divot there, so we'll just fill that in. That looks better already. Wonderful. Okay. So next we are going to add our colors. And I'm going to start with the food coloring and then I'll do one with the watercolor paints. So I'm just going to drip little driplets all over the coloring, all over the shaving cream. And my kit came with red, blue, green, and yellow, and I'm going to go ahead and use all 4 colors. You can see they look very dark, but they should lighten up as we start to stir them around. Now I'm going to take my stir stick and I'm going to start with the chopstick. I'm going to insert it into the shaving cream so that it's standing straight up and down and start to make swirling motions. You want to drag your stir stick through your dots of color and you'll see them start to intertwine and make patterns. And the reason that we want to hold the stir stick straight up and down is because we don't want to mix the colors together. We just want to pull them through the other colors. So holding it straight up and down really helps to achieve that marble design without over mixing your colors. And I'm just constantly keeping a lookout to see which areas I haven't brought into the pattern yet and trying to get a sort of even or integrated amount of design throughout the surface of my shaving cream. And remember, you want to stop before your pattern becomes so intricate that it starts to blend and or get muddied. So I think I am almost there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And just so you can see how we look on the shaving cream, let me bring that up to you. That's what our shaving cream looks like right now. Because I used a pretty large amount of surface area, I am actually going to start with my biggest piece of paper. And I'm going to lay that down nice and steadily. And now I'm going to very gently start smoothing the paper onto the shaving cream. I am not moving the paper from side to side, I just laid it flat down. And now I'm gently smoothing the back of the paper. I want to make sure that my surface of my paper is making full and even contact with the shaving cream, especially so since while I did smooth out the shaving cream, there might be some areas where your shaving cream wasn't completely flat on top. So by smoothing the back of your paper, you are ensuring that you have contact between the paper and all of that food coloring dye that you applied to the top of the shaving cream. Right, folks, I'm going to give you a poodle warning now because Mr. Oliver is over here saying hi to all the art makers of the world. Say hello, Oliver. That's Mr. Man. He likes to get involved in the action. So now what I'm going to do is take my paper and pull it up off the shaving cream. And you can see a whole lot of what looks like blended color there on the paper. I'm gonna lay that flat. Now I'll take my squeegee, I'm gonna hold an edge of my paper and squeegee off the foam, off the paper, and we can reuse this foam. So I am going to scrape it off my squeegee back into my tray. And when we reuse the foam, we just get a light bit of shading in the background, but that's actually kind of cool because then your future prints or pulls, as they're often called, your future pulls will have a little bit of a background color on them, which is kind of like bonus if you ask me. Right, so we have recovered all of our shaving cream, and here's our first marbled print. How awesome is that, friends? Beautiful. Put that over there. Now I have all this messy fabulousness. I'm going to smooth it back out again. And I think this time we will try some liquid watercolors. And because my other papers are smaller than that first paper, I don't have to smooth the entire amount. So I'll just kind of put that over to the side. And this time I will use my pipettes, squeeze them, insert them into the bottle of liquid watercolors. And now I can make sort of squiggles instead of droplets. I'm just going to let that sit in there so I don't get liquid watercolor all over the table. And take my next color. So you can see that my metallics were much thicker than my regular colors. So they came out slower. A little bit of this pretty gold color. And maybe we'll do a little purple. And I think that's going to be plenty of color. So again, we're going to take our stir stick, and this time I'm using the barbecue skewer, and I'm going to hold it straight up and down and start to bring it through my colors so that they start to create that marbling pattern. For some reason, this stick is much noisier than the barbecue skewer was, than the chopstick was. I don't know why that is. But you will notice that I am still holding it straight up and down because I don't want to mix the colors. I want to create a design with the colors. I am very happy with that. So I'm going to put my star stick down and take my paper, and then I'm going to gently lay it onto the shaving cream and smooth the back of the paper. And I'm just going back over and around, making sure that I do have all of my paper in contact with the foam. Sometimes when you're rubbing, you'll start to see the paint or dye being absorbed into the paper on the back, but because I worked with two pretty thick papers to start with, I'm not really getting that result here. We might see it with the thinner paper. So I'm carefully pulling up a corner. And actually, as I lift this, I'm seeing a lot of pigment still left on the shaving cream. So I'm going to try and take what's called a ghost pull. And a ghost pull is just where you make a second pull from your design that you created on your surface of your shaving cream. So I'm going to lay this down and smooth again. And actually, as I said, so I'm using the thinner paper now, and you can definitely see the ink or the paint being absorbed into the paper. And I'm just going around to all the corners, making sure I get all those corners in, because I don't want to waste any of those pretty colors. Okay, so we're going to be at a premium for space right now. I'm going to move this over, lift up my second paper by the corner. Now, this is going to be much lighter than the first one that we pulled, but let's see what we got. So that is our second pull from this application of color. I think it's beautiful. It's a little more muted than we will probably see from the first pull. There you have that. Let's see if I can, it's a thinner paper, so it's going to be harder to show you. Voila. And let's check that. So this was the first pull now using the liquid watercolors. So I had already used the food coloring on the very first pull. So there's a little bit of a colored background, but as you can see, my actual design much brighter than the second pull. All right, friends, so that is shaving cream marbling. I hope you enjoyed this art lesson, and see you another time. Thanks. Bye.